The courtroom was quiet except for the sound of papers being shuffled. Everyone waited as Judge Harold Dawson sat behind his big desk, looking at the people in front of him. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were sharp and focused. He had been a judge for many years, and he liked to keep things strict. Today, he was dealing with a routine case, a visa renewal hearing. It seemed like any other day, but something about this particular case caught his attention. Standing before him was Amara Kaur, a small woman who looked nervous, but stayed calm. She had recently come to the United States from India, hoping to build a better life for herself and her family. Her lawyer, Laura Bennett, stood next to her, ready to present her case. Laura was young and smart, always prepared for whatever might happen in court. But even she didn't know what was coming. Judge. Dawson cleared his throat loudly, making everyone look up. "Miss Kaur," he said, pointing a finger at her. His voice was firm and demanding. "If you want to live in this country, you must speak English. If you cannot communicate properly, I will have no choice but to dismiss your case and send you back." The room went silent. People exchanged glances, unsure how to react. Some thought the judge was being too harsh, while others believed he was just doing his job. Amara didn't move or say anything for a moment. She simply looked at the judge, her dark eyes meeting his without fear. Then, slowly, she opened her mouth to speak. "Your Honor," Amara began, her voice clear and steady. There was no trace of an accent, no hesitation, nothing that would suggest she wasn't completely comfortable speaking English. "I am fluent in English. Perhaps it is time we focus on the matter at hand instead of making assumptions about my abilities." For a second, nobody said anything. Even Judge Dawson seemed surprised. He hadn't expected such a confident response. The silence stretched out until finally, someone coughed softly, breaking the tension. Laura, standing beside Amara, felt a mix of relief and pride. She had worked hard to prepare for this hearing, but now she realized that maybe Amara didn't need as much help as she'd thought. Amara continued, her words flowing smoothly. "I understand that rules are important, Your Honor. I respect them, but I also believe that fairness should guide every decision made in this courtroom." She paused briefly, letting her words sink in. "My visa renewal application is straightforward. I have followed all the requirements, provided all necessary documents, and fulfilled every obligation. All I ask is for the same consideration given to anyone else in my position." Laura nodded slightly, impressed by how well Amara handled herself. She had seen clients get flustered under pressure, but not Amara. There was something different about her, something that set her apart from everyone else. Laura couldn't quite put her finger on it, but she decided to let the hearing play out before asking questions. Judge Dawson leaned back in his chair, studying Amara carefully. He still wasn't convinced. Something about her demeanor bothered him, though he couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the way she spoke so perfectly, almost like she was reciting lines from a book, or maybe it was the calmness in her eyes, which seemed older than they should be. Whatever it was, it made him uneasy. "I'll take your word for it, Miss Kaur," Judge Dawson said after a long pause. "But I'll be watching closely. Any slip-ups and this case will be over." With that, he turned to Laura. "Proceed with your statement." Laura took a deep breath and started explaining the details of Amara's application. As she spoke, Amara listened quietly, occasionally nodding in agreement. The hearing moved forward, but Judge Dawson kept glancing at Amara, his curiosity growing stronger with each passing minute. He wanted to know more about her, to figure out what made her so unusual. Meanwhile, Amara remained composed, answering every question politely and confidently. At one point, Judge Dawson asked her directly, "Where did you learn to speak English so well?" Amara smiled faintly, her expression unreadable. "Language has always fascinated me, Your Honor. I've studied it for a very long time." Her answer only added to the mystery surrounding her. Judge Dawson frowned, sensing that there was more to her story than she was letting on. Still, he couldn't argue with her performance. Everything she said was correct, and her behavior was beyond reproach. For now, he had no choice but to continue the hearing. As the session progressed, Laura noticed subtle changes in Amara's speech. Sometimes she used phrases that sounded old-fashioned, as if they belonged in another era. Other times her tone carried a weight that didn't match her appearance. It was as if she were quoting ancient texts or channeling voices from the past. Laura found it both fascinating and unsettling. When the hearing ended, Judge Dawson announced that he would review the case and make a decision later. Amara thanked him respectfully before leaving the courtroom with Laura. Once outside, Laura turned to her client, unable to hold back her curiosity any longer. "Amara," she said gently, "can I ask you something? How did you really learn to speak English like that?" Amara hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "It's complicated," she admitted, "but I promise you, I mean no harm. My reasons for being here are genuine, and I hope you'll trust me enough to believe that." Laura nodded, though she still had doubts. She knew there was more to Amara's story than met the eye, but she also knew that pressing further wouldn't do any good right now. Instead, she decided to wait and see how things unfolded. Back inside the courtroom, Judge Dawson sat alone, staring at the empty space where Amara had stood. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had encountered something extraordinary today. Whether it was good or bad, he didn't know yet. But one thing was certain: Amara Carr was unlike anyone he had ever met before. After the hearing ended, Judge Harold Dawson couldn't stop thinking about Amara Carr. Her perfect English, her calm answers, and the strange feeling she gave him stayed in his mind. He tried to focus on other cases, but something about her didn't sit right. It wasn't just her fluency in English, it was more than that. There was something unusual about the way she spoke, almost like she carried secrets older than anyone could imagine. Dawson decided to look deeper into her background. He called Eric Miller, a private investigator known for getting results quickly. Eric was a tall man in his late 40s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. He had worked on many difficult cases before, but this one felt different from the start. "Find out everything you can about her," Dawson instructed Eric during their meeting. "Her past, where she came from, how long she's been here, anything that seems off." Eric nodded, jotting down notes. "I'll get started right away, Your Honor." Over the next few days, Eric dug into Amara's life. At first, things seemed normal. Her visa application showed she had entered the country legally 3 years ago. She worked as a translator, helping immigrants adjust to life in America. Everything appeared fine, until Eric found something strange. While searching old records, Eric stumbled upon mentions of women who looked exactly like Amara throughout history. In colonial America, there was a woman named Elizabeth Carter who helped settlers learn Native American languages. In medieval Europe, a scholar named Adelina taught Latin to monks. Even farther back, in ancient Mesopotamia, a mysterious figure, known only as the Keeper, advised kings on diplomacy and trade. Each record described someone with extraordinary knowledge and skills far ahead of their time. Eric couldn't believe what he was seeing. These women weren't just similar to Amara, they were identical. Their faces, mannerisms, even the way they spoke, matched perfectly. It was as if Amara had lived multiple lives across centuries. Confused but intrigued, Eric decided to confront Amara directly. He visited her small apartment one evening, knocking on the door softly. When she opened it, she didn't seem surprised to see him. "Mr. Miller," she said calmly, stepping aside to let him in. "I thought someone might come asking questions, eventually." Eric stepped inside, taking in the cozy space. Books lined the walls, written in dozens of languages he didn't recognize. Maps covered the tables, marked with symbols and notes. The air smelled faintly of ink and parchment. "You've done your research," Amara continued, offering him a seat. "What did you find?" Eric hesitated, unsure how to begin. Finally, he said, "I found records of women who looked just like you from different times and places." "Who are you, really?" Amara sighed, sitting down across from him. For a moment, she looked tired, as though carrying a heavy burden. Then she began to speak. "I am not human," she admitted quietly. "Not entirely, anyway. I belong to a race called the Luminari. We travel across galaxies collecting languages, cultures, and histories to preserve them." Eric stared at her, stunned. "Aliens?" You're telling me you're an alien? Amara nodded. Yes, but we are not like what you see in movies or read in books. We do not seek to conquer or destroy. Our purpose is to protect and guide civilizations. She explained that the luminary chose Earth centuries ago because of its unique potential. Humans were creative, resilient, and capable of great love, but also prone to conflict and destruction. Amara's job was to observe and assist when needed, blending in as one of them. But why stay so long? Eric asked, still trying to wrap his head around everything. Why not leave after completing your mission? Amara smiled faintly. Because Earth became special to me. Humanity's struggles and triumphs touched my heart. I chose to remain, to help guide your species through challenges while learning from you. Eric listened intently, amazed by her story. Despite the surreal nature of their conversation, he believed her. Something about the way she spoke, the depth of her words, felt genuine. Before leaving, Eric promised to keep her secret. I won't tell anyone, he assured her. But you should know. Judge Dawson isn't going to stop digging. He's suspicious of you. Amara nodded, unsurprised. Thank you for letting me know. I'll handle him. True to Eric's warning, Judge Dawson grew increasingly irritated by Amara's presence. He reviewed Eric's findings privately, poring over the strange connections between Amara and historical figures. The more he learned, the angrier he became. This is absurd, Dawson muttered to himself late one night, surrounded by files and notes. She's hiding something and I'm going to uncover it. His frustration boiled over during a follow-up meeting with Amara and Laura Bennett. Miss Carr, he snapped, glaring at her. You claim to be fluent in English, yet your behavior suggests otherwise. You use phrases that sound outdated, almost rehearsed. Care to explain? Amara met his gaze calmly. Languages evolve over time, Your Honor. Sometimes older forms linger in memory. As I mentioned earlier, language fascinates me. I study it deeply. Dawson wasn't satisfied. That doesn't answer my question. Why does your speech sound like it belongs in another century? Laura stepped in, sensing the tension rising. Your Honor, perhaps we should focus on the facts of the case rather than speculating about my client's linguistic habits. Dawson ignored her, leaning forward. Miss Carr, I demand the truth. Are you hiding something? Amara paused, considering her response. Finally, she said, Truth is complicated, Your Honor. What you perceive as deception may simply be a misunderstanding. I assure you, my intentions are pure. Her words only fueled Dawson's suspicion. He vowed to dig deeper, determined to expose whatever secrets Amara was keeping. Little did he know, those secrets went far beyond anything he could imagine. As the days passed, Amara prepared for what was coming. She knew Judge Dawson wouldn't give up easily, and she understood why. Humans often feared what they didn't understand, and Amara represented something truly unknown. Still, she remained hopeful that truth and understanding would prevail. The meantime, Laura struggled to reconcile what she had learned about Amara with the reality of their situation. She wanted to trust her client, but the revelations about her true identity left her uneasy. Was Amara dangerous, or was she truly here to help? Only time would tell. For now, all they could do was wait and see how events unfolded. As Judge Harold Dawson continued his investigation into AmaraCorps, strange things began happening around the world. At first, they seemed unrelated. Power outages in major cities, unexplained disappearances, and reports of unusual lights in the sky. But soon, it became clear that these events were connected. People started talking about alien sightings, and governments scrambled to address the growing panic. Amara watched the news closely, her expression unreadable. She knew what was coming long before anyone else did. The signs were unmistakable. The Voidborn had arrived. Unlike the Luminari, who sought to protect and preserve, the Voidborn were a ruthless alien faction bent on exploiting Earth's resources and enslaving its people. Laura Bennett noticed how quiet Amara had become. They hadn't spoken much since. Eric Miller revealed his findings, but Laura could tell something was weighing heavily on her mind. One evening, she decided to visit Amara at her apartment. Are you okay? Laura asked gently after sitting down. You seem distracted. Amara sighed, looking out the window at the darkening sky. The time has come, she said softly. The Voidborn are here. Laura frowned, confused. What are you talking about? Who are the Voidborn? Amara turned to face her, her eyes filled with both sadness and determination. They are another alien race. Unlike my kind, they do not care about preserving life or culture. They take what they want and leave destruction behind. Laura's heart raced. And they're coming here? To Earth? Amara nodded. Yes. They've been watching this planet for some time, waiting for the right moment to strike. I tried to prevent it, but now there's nothing more I can do except prepare. Laura felt a chill run down her spine. Prepare for what? What can we possibly do against aliens? Amara smiled faintly. More than you think. Humanity may be young, compared to other species, but you have strengths even the Voidborn cannot match. Courage, creativity, unity. These are weapons no technology can replicate. Determined to act, Amara reached out to key figures within the government. Using her vast knowledge of human systems, she gained their trust by offering solutions no one else could provide. She suggested reverse engineering certain technologies based on hints she shared, explaining that they could use these tools to defend themselves against the Voidborn. At first, many dismissed her ideas as impossible. But when prototypes proved effective during early tests, skepticism gave way to hope. Military leaders listened carefully as Amara outlined strategies for uniting global forces against the impending invasion. Slowly, plans came together. Meanwhile, Judge Dawson remained suspicious of Amara's motives. He couldn't ignore the evidence piling up, not just about her supposed alien origins, but also about the looming threat itself. Reports of strange crafts and mysterious attacks flooded the media, leaving little room for doubt. Still, Dawson refused to trust her. During a closed-door meeting with military officials, he confronted her directly. You expect us to believe you're some kind of cosmic savior, he sneered. This reeks of manipulation. Amara met his gaze evenly. Believe what you will, Your Honor, but when the Voidborn come, you'll wish you'd listened. Her words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning. Despite his doubts, Dawson couldn't deny the urgency in her voice, or the logic behind her warnings. Reluctantly, he agreed to cooperate, though he made it clear he wouldn't hesitate to turn against her if she betrayed them. Days passed in a blur of preparation. Amara worked tirelessly alongside scientists, engineers, and strategists, ensuring everyone understood their roles. She taught soldiers new tactics, advised engineers on adapting technology, and counseled leaders on maintaining morale. Through it all, she remained calm and focused, inspiring those around her with her unwavering dedication. Laura stayed close to Amara during this time, torn between fear and admiration. She still struggled to fully grasp the enormity of what was happening, but she trusted Amara enough to follow her lead. Together, they visited military bases, research facilities, and command centers, spreading awareness and rallying support. One evening, as they stood on a hill overlooking the city, Laura asked the question that had been haunting her. Why are you doing this? Why risk everything for us? Amara looked at her, her eyes reflecting the stars above. Because I believe in humanity. You may be flawed, but you're also capable of incredible things. I chose to stay here because I saw something worth fighting for. Before Laura could respond, the sky lit up with flashes of light. Strange objects descended rapidly, their shapes shifting and shimmering like liquid metal. The Voidborn had arrived. Amara straightened, her expression hardening. It's time, she said simply. She turned to Laura, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Stay safe, trust in yourselves, and remember, you are stronger together. With that, Amara stepped forward, ready to face the invaders head-on. Behind her, soldiers took their positions, armed with weapons crafted from her designs. Though fear gripped their hearts, they found courage in her presence. As the first wave of void-born drones approached, chaos erupted. Explosions rocked the ground and screams echoed through the night. But amid the turmoil, humanity fought back with surprising resilience. Thanks to Amara's guidance, they managed to hold their ground, pushing back against the relentless assault. From afar, Judge Dawson watched the battle unfold, his suspicions giving way to awe. For the first time, he saw Amara for who she truly was. Not a threat, but a protector. Whatever doubts he'd harbored melted away as he realized the depth of her commitment to saving Earth. The fight was far from over. But for the first time, in days, there was hope. And at the center of it all stood Amara, a beacon of strength and wisdom guiding humanity through its darkest hour. The battle against the Voidborn raged on, stretching into days and nights without rest. Humanity fought bravely, using every tool and tactic Amara had taught them. Soldiers fired advanced weapons crafted from her designs, while engineers worked around the clock to repair damaged equipment and create new defenses. Despite their efforts, the Voidborn seemed unstoppable. Their ships loomed overhead like dark clouds, raining destruction down on cities and military bases alike. Fear spread among people, but so did determination. They refused to give up, not when so much was at stake. Amara stood at the heart of the conflict, guiding humanity's response with quiet authority. She moved between command centers, offering advice and reassurance to leaders and soldiers alike. Though exhausted, she never wavered. Her presence inspired courage in those around her, reminding them why they were fighting. One evening, as the fighting paused briefly, Laura Bennett found Amara sitting alone on a hill overlooking the battlefield. The sky was painted orange and red from distant fires, and the air smelled of smoke and ash. Laura approached cautiously, unsure what to say. "You're pushing yourself too hard," Laura said softly, sitting beside her. "You can't keep going like this forever." Amara smiled faintly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "I don't have a choice. This isn't just about me. It's about all of you. If I falter, Earth falls." Laura hesitated, then asked the question that had been weighing on her mind. "What happens if we lose? What happens to us?" Amara turned to look at her, her eyes filled with both sadness and resolve. "If we lose, the Voidborn will strip this planet bare. They'll take everything, your resources, your freedom, your lives. But I won't let that happen. Not while I still draw breath." Her words sent a shiver down Laura's spine. For the first time, she fully understood the stakes. It wasn't just about survival. It was about preserving everything that made humanity unique. Their dreams, their cultures, their love for one another. And Amara, an outsider, was willing to sacrifice everything to protect it. The next morning, the Voidborn launched their largest assault yet. Massive ships descended from the sky, unleashing waves of drones and ground troops. Human forces scrambled to respond, but the invaders overwhelmed them quickly. Panic began to set in as lines broke and retreats were called. Amara knew this was the moment she had been preparing for. Stepping onto the battlefield, she walked calmly toward the towering leader of the Voidborn, a monstrous figure made of shifting metal and glowing red eyes. Its presence radiated malice, freezing soldiers in their tracks. "Stop," Amara commanded, raising her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "This ends now." The Voidborn leader paused, its head tilting curiously as it studied her. Then in a deep, echoing voice it spoke. "You dare challenge us?" Amara nodded, unafraid. "I do. Your kind seeks only destruction, but there is another way. Leave this planet, and I will ensure you find what you need elsewhere." The creature laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You are but one being. What power do you hold over us?" Amara took a step closer, her voice steady. "More than you realize." Drawing upon centuries of knowledge, she began speaking in languages no human could understand. Each word carried weight, resonating through the air like music. Soldiers watched in awe as the Voidborn leader hesitated, its movements slowing as though confused. "What are you?" the creature demanded, its tone uncertain for the first time. I am Luminari, Amara replied, guardians of life and culture across the stars. You may be powerful, but you underestimate the strength of unity. These humans, you cannot break them. As she spoke, Amara unleashed a pulse of light energy unique to her kind. It surged outward, enveloping the battlefield in a brilliant glow. The Voidborn screeched in pain, their forms flickering and destabilizing under the energy's force. One by one, their drones fell silent and their ships began retreating into the sky. The human soldiers cheered, their spirits lifted by the sudden turn of events. But Amara remained focused, watching until the last trace of the Voidborn disappeared. Only then did she allow herself to relax, sinking to her knees in exhaustion. Laura rushed to her side, tears streaming down her face. You did it, she whispered, helping Amara stand. You saved us. Amara shook her head weakly. No, Laura. We saved each other. Without humanity's courage, none of this would have been possible. Word of the victory spread quickly, bringing relief to millions around the world. Governments issued statements thanking Amara for her role in defeating the invaders, though many details remained classified. Judge Harold Dawson, who had witnessed the final battle firsthand, finally understood the truth about her. Standing before her later that day, he offered a rare apology. I misjudged you, he admitted gruffly. You weren't lying. You really were here to help. Amara accepted his words graciously. Thank you, Your Honor. All I ever wanted was for people to see beyond appearances and assumptions. I hope this experience has shown everyone what truly matters. In the weeks that followed, life slowly returned to normal. Cities were rebuilt, families reunited, and hope restored. Amara, however, chose to fade back into obscurity. She resumed her quiet life, disappearing from public view once again. Few remembered her name or her sacrifices, but those who did, like Laura and Judge Dawson, never forgot the lessons she taught them. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger because of it. And somewhere among the stars, the Luminari continued their eternal mission, watching over Earth and countless other worlds. They knew that while danger might return someday, humanity's resilience would always shine brightest in the darkest times. After the battle against the Voidborn ended, life on Earth slowly returned to normal. The scars of war remained, burnt fields, damaged cities, and families grieving their losses. But there was also a sense of renewal. People came together to rebuild what had been destroyed, working side by side with a spirit of unity they hadn't felt in years. It was as if humanity had rediscovered its strength, not just as individuals, but as a collective force. Amara Carr watched all of this quietly. From the sidelines, she had played a crucial role in saving Earth, yet she chose to step back once the crisis passed. For her, it wasn't about recognition or praise. Her mission had always been to protect and guide, not to take center stage. So, she returned to her modest apartment, resuming her work as a translator and mentor for immigrants. To most people, she seemed like any other ordinary person going about her day. But those who truly knew her couldn't forget what she had done. Laura Bennett visited her often, still trying to process everything that had happened. Each time they met, Laura found herself learning something new about Amara, not just her alien origins, but her deep love for humanity. You could have left. After defeating the Voidborn, Laura said one afternoon as they sat drinking tea. Why stay? Amara smiled, looking out the window at the bustling street below. Because I care about this world. Humanity isn't perfect, but neither am I. Staying here reminds me why I fight, to preserve the beauty and potential of life. Laura nodded thoughtfully. Do you think the Voidborn will come back? They might, Amara admitted. But if they do, humanity will be ready. You've proven yourselves stronger than anyone expected. Judge Harold Dawson also struggled to reconcile his past suspicions with what he now knew about Amara. He had spent so long doubting her motives, convinced she was hiding something dangerous. But seeing her face the Voidborn leader without fear and, ultimately save millions of lives, had changed him. He realized how wrong he had been to judge her based on appearances alone. One evening, Dawson decided to visit Amara's apartment. When she opened the door, she didn't seem surprised to see him, Your Honor. She greeted him warmly. Please come in. Dawson stepped inside, feeling awkward but determined. I wanted to thank you for everything you've done. I misjudged you, and I'm sorry. Amara shook her head gently. Apologies aren't necessary. What matters is that we worked together when it counted. That's what saved us. Her words eased some of the guilt Dawson carried, but he still felt the need to make amends. Over time, he became one of Amara's few allies, using his influence to ensure no one questioned her presence on Earth again. Though he never fully understood her alien nature, he respected her enough to trust her judgment. As weeks turned into months, stories of the Voidborn invasion began fading from headlines. Life moved forward, and people focused on rebuilding their communities. Schools reopened, businesses restarted, and laughter returned to streets that had once echoed with fear. Yet beneath the surface, subtle changes lingered. Humanity had faced an existential threat and emerged victorious, a fact that inspired confidence and resilience. Amara continued her quiet work, helping newcomers adapt to life in America. She taught them languages, shared cultural insights, and encouraged them to embrace both their heritage and their new home. To those she helped, she wasn't just a teacher. She was a friend, a guide, and sometimes even a confidant. One day, while walking through the park, Amara noticed a group of children playing. They laughed and chased each other, completely carefree. Watching them filled her with warmth. These were the moments she cherished, the reminders of why she stayed on Earth. Despite all its flaws, humanity possessed a unique ability to find joy even after hardship. Later that evening, Laura joined Amara for dinner. As they talked, Laura mentioned a project she had started, a documentary about the Voidborn invasion. She hoped to share Amara's story with the world, though she knew parts of it would remain secret. You don't have to include my name, Amara said softly. What matters is the message that cooperation and understanding can overcome even the greatest challenges. Laura smiled. Still humble, huh? Don't worry. I'll keep your secret safe. The two women laughed, their bond stronger than ever. Though Laura was human and Amara wasn't, they had formed a friendship built on trust and mutual respect. It was proof that differences didn't have to divide people. They could bring them closer instead. Years passed, and Amara remained a quiet guardian of Earth. Occasionally, she received messages from others of her kind, checking in to see how things were going. She assured them that humanity was thriving, growing wiser with each passing generation. While she missed her fellow Luminari, she never regretted choosing Earth as her home. In the end, Amara's legacy wasn't written in history books or celebrated in monuments. It lived on in the lives she touched, the immigrants she helped, the soldiers she inspired, and the countless strangers who benefited from her guidance. She reminded everyone that true strength came not from power or technology but from compassion, unity, and hope. And somewhere among the stars, the Luminari watched over their cherished planet, ready to intervene should the need arise again. But, for now, Earth stood strong, thanks in part to a woman who chose to call it home.